I love that.
Wow. I know you guys did this great little animation a few years ago that's exactly about this. It's called Why Pray? Maybe we should take a look at that.
Have you ever wondered why so many people pray? Well, Albert Einstein said that there's really only two ways to live, as if nothing's a miracle or as if everything's a miracle. Either life's a fluke and we're just a bunch of highly evolved animals on a big rock lost in space, or there's a creator behind creation, a God behind goodness. And if so, then connecting with him in prayer is pretty much the most mind-blowing thing you can do. Archaeologists keep digging stuff up that shows we've always prayed. People of many faiths pray daily. Even atheists admit to praying sometimes. Real prayer is a two-way conversation with the living God who loves and listens to said, ask anything in my name and it'll be done. We have a chance to ask for peace, healing, health, or whatever we need. Life matters, you matter, your choices, thoughts, prayers, and actions echo in eternity. But in case you hadn't noticed, God is pretty much invisible and not always easy to hear. There are distractions, disappointments, and questions that we all share. That's why 24/7 prayer does stuff to help thousands of people in hundreds of places connect with God in new ways. People are learning to pray by just praying. And today, millions are discovering that God's real. Life's a miracle. And the most powerful thing you can ever do is to pray. So on this course, we're going to be working through the Lord's Prayer. And it might make sense to take a look at that now together. This is Luke chapter 11, verses 1 to 4, where Jesus gives the Lord's Prayer. And we read verse 1. One day Jesus was praying in a certain place. And when he finished, one of his disciples said to him, Lord, teach us to pray, just as John taught his disciples. And he said to them, when you pray, say, Father, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come. Give us each day our daily bread. Forgive us our sins, for we also forgive everyone who sins against us. And lead us not into temptation. The one thing that the disciples explicitly asked Jesus to help them with was prayer. Lord, teach us to pray. They didn't ever say, teach us to preach or teach us to plant churches or teach us to share our faith. They said, teach us to pray, because they could see that this was the key to everything about their rabbi's ministry. And they say, teach us to pray. Now, these men went on to have incredible prayer lives. They prayed over handkerchiefs and people healed. They just prayed, people raised from the dead. They even prayed for their persecutors at the point of death. So they went on to have amazing prayer lives, but it has to begin at a moment in time where they just humbly kind of say, we actually need help in this area. And that's what we're doing really at the start of the prayer course. We're just saying, Lord, teach us to pray over these 8 sessions. Because we all find it difficult. I love the story of Teresa of Avila, who was like this big saint, this holy nun. And she once admitted that sometimes she shakes her hourglass to make her hour of prayer go quicker, which I can really relate to.
Yes, I can relate to that as well.
Because prayer is difficult, isn't it? And the good news of this story where Jesus gives the Lord's Prayer is that when we ask him for help, he promises to help us.
Can you maybe give us an idea about how the next 8 sessions are going to break down?
When you say to people the word prayer, everyone has a different idea of what that actually means. And that's because really there's lots of different ways of praying. There isn't just one way. It's a bit like this toolbox here. There's a bunch of different tools, hammers and screwdrivers and all stuff. And the thing is, obviously everyone knows every tool is there to do a different job. And if you called a handyman round and said, can you fix something? He said, well, I only know how to use a hammer, but I don't use a screwdriver. You'd think he wasn't a very good handyman.
Not a good handyman at all.
Yeah. And in the same way with prayer, why limit yourself? There's a whole range the Lord's Prayer is a bit like a toolbox, and we're going to go through those different tools together on this course. So first of all, you've got Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. So that means next session we're going to be looking at adoration, the hallowing of God's name. And then there's your kingdom come, your will be done.